everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Web3 Deep Dive Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Wolfson. Today, I've got a great interview lined up for all of you. I am speaking with Chetan Dube. He is the founder of Quant, and Quant is using agentic AI for enterprise-grade customer service. So you may have guessed it. This interview is all about AI, and we go in depth about what agentic AI is, how it's being used today for customer service. We talk about use cases with Quant, and this is a really great episode, especially if you're interested in learning about AI and artificial intelligence and how that is evolving and shaping when it comes to customer service used for enterprises. So definitely want you guys to watch this entire interview with Chetan. It is mind-blowing, and he is one of the top minds in the AI sector in the world. So it really is an honor to have Chetan on today's episode. Before getting started with today's interview, I also want to take the time to thank ONAP for letting us film today's episode at this beautiful podcasting space here in Austin, Texas. You will learn a little bit more about OWN and what they're doing later in this episode, so be sure to stay tuned for that. And I also want to take the time to remind you guys to like and subscribe to the channel, especially if you enjoy the content that you're seeing. I've got plenty more of that coming for you. A lot more content focused on AI and blockchain as well. So definitely want you guys to stay in touch and subscribe and like it if you enjoy today's episode. Without further ado, let's get started with today's interview with Chetan. Hi, Chetan. How's it going?
It's going very well. Thank you very much, Rachel, for having us on this podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining me. It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. We met a few weeks ago in New York. I came to the big event that you hosted. So thank you again for coming on the podcast today.
No, the privilege is all mine. Thank you.
Yeah, well, before we get started, maybe tell our listeners a little bit about yourself, what you're doing in the AI sector and what Quant is doing.
In a previous life, I used to be an assistant professor at New York University at Quant Institute of Math Sciences. We were researching deterministic finite-state machines to be able to try and see if we could emulate engineers' brains, and that graduated into burning passion when I read Turing's thesis that challenges you to right at the onset by saying, can machines think? And can we create such thinking machines? That's the feverish excitement behind Quant. Can we get these machines that can actually be equivalent to humans? And today, as you discovered at the event that we hosted, one of the largest utilities in the country is resolving over 76.8% of the total inbound call volume at 6 points superior than humans to satisfaction. That's the power of real agentics, and that's the power of AI that Quant is engaged in.
Okay, before we get into this, can you explain what agentic AI is and how that differs from other versions of artificial intelligence?
So that's a great question, because there is a lot of noise in the market, and I sympathize with maybe a lot of your viewers where the signal to noise ratio is rather weak, and generative technologies are often confused with agentic technologies. Generative technologies are, as the name suggests, generation, content generation. And you have model sophistications that got to 1.7 trillion parameters with GPT 3.5, and you know that you can generate content about everything and anything today. It's excellent for RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, for FAQs, for information, and all of those things that you can actually retrieve information. The other side, but I think, so if you are the classic analogy that I had shared with you is that if you have lost your bag at Heathrow, you, on one hand, could be told, here are the 9 steps that you need to follow to be able to recover your airline's bag. But the other side of the equation, if you cross the chasm from generative to agentic, is we would say, Rachel, we have found your bag. It's at Schiphol. We are getting it shipped back to Heathrow, and we will have it at your hotel, the Savoy, at 6:30 p.m. this evening. That is action. That is agentic, not generative. So if you look at the subtle yet profound chasm between the two, generative is about content generation. Agentic is about action. Information to getting the task done. 19% of the total call volume to 81% of the total call volume. Here is how you could do something. Here is an autonomous action plan to actually execute that. So from information to action. And that's the subtle yet profound chasm that is completely shifting the marketplace. The generative technologies are obviously important, and they contain about 19% of the total volume. But you are shifting, the market is shifting now to autonomous execution at human equivalent capabilities. And that requires not just agent assist, but actually doing the job that an agent was doing, that a human agent was doing. And that is from generative to agentic.
I see. Okay. Now let's talk about Quant, because for our listeners that may not know about Quant or what you're doing there, can you explain what Quant is and the goal behind the company?
Yeah. So Quant is a company that is in the business of building super intelligent digital employees. That's what we build. So whether you are one of the 9 million passengers of the largest airlines in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, you are being serviced and experiencing superior service from not just booking a ticket to changing a ticket to the meal plans, to the baggage claims, to anything that you might have in mind. You are getting a superior service, superior first time rights with a digital agent provided by Quant. And similarly, if you are one of the utility customers in one of the largest utilities in Northeast, you are getting, when you are calling a contact center, you are getting a superior digital agent with the efficacy of what I shared with you at the onset of 76.8% of the total calls being resolved at about 6 points superior than human NPS, Net Promoter Score. So at CUSAT being superior than what you would have gotten by talking to a human agent. So it is basically, look, nobody said, switch me to a digital agent. While you call, and you typically used to get in the T-5 years, you would get a digital agent and you had perfected the art of saying, operator, representative, please, somebody human, get me out of this mess, this total maze, 00110, any which way to get out. Nobody was yelling, get me a digital representative, please, up until now, because the efficacy of what Quant has introduced to the market is that, as opposed to an industry average that hovers around 23% of the total volume is contained, the Quant agents are able to contain 76.8% of total volume that is inbound.
So Quant agents are able to do that compared to the 23% that you mentioned humans are capable of doing when they're customer service human agents.
Human agents are obviously at 84. This is 23% is the industry average of what, in general, what total volume coming in, what is resolved today autonomously. Nanda had a report from MIT on similar returns that you're seeing in the industry. So these are facts that are actually available and statistics that are available on the net.
Got it. I see. Can you explain? I know there are use cases, and I know Quant is being used today. It's not like a platform that hasn't launched yet or that it is launching. Quant is up and running. Actually, just before we get into that, when did Quant start being leveraged by major companies?
Yeah. So I've been in this persuasion for about 2.5 decades to be able to chase that elusive Turing horizon. In a previous company, we were lucky to be rated number one by every analyst of distinction for 9 years running, be it Gartner, Forrester, HFS, or IDC. Just about seldom do you have all these analysts of distinction agree on anything other than that the number one company was the company that we had built for 9 years. The big motivation for me to start Quant on June 6th of 2024 was because we had reached a point, a pinnacle in our research where we could jump into the deep end of the agentic chasm through active reasoning models, through superior reasoning models that can get very close to human levels of cognitive competence, hence Quant. And so Quant was born. And since then, we are fortunate that we're lucky that some of the leading blue chip companies in utilities, such as the one that I gave you examples of, including the largest utility in the world across the pond, have all started to subscribe to Quant for superior. And by the way, this is not just a cost equation. Cost, obviously, you will get a certain return on invested capital, which will start to push 40+%. But this is not just a cost equation. Almost every CEO that I've had the privilege of talking to at the top utilities is interested in improving the quality of customer engagement at the same time. And that's where it really is unique in its positioning, because generally when you take cost and quality, one of the two, you pick one. But I think you can get both through agentic technologies that have superior active reasoning capabilities, which is what Quant delivers.
Active reasoning capabilities. And so with that in mind, some use cases, and I learned about this at the event that you hosted in New York, but I want our listeners to know just like how credible and amazing this is. There are some great use cases. Can you just give a use case of a major company leveraging Quant for customer service?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think you saw from the very commonplace, the largest QSR, quick service restaurant, pizza chain. You saw that example where the chief information officer was on stage himself displaying how Quant is being engaged to actually have a faster and better turnaround of and a better quality of experience for a person who wants to be able to order pizza from Pizza. Similarly, you can see in the utility, you saw the CEO of the fourth largest utility on stage talking about how Quant is being leveraged for providing, again, superior customer care. And customer care for, take the utility case, these are not trivial. Nobody is calling about hamburger menu. And we have to break that myth. The hamburger menu is so 2020. That's so IVR 2.0. No one is calling and saying, what is my bill? Can I just pay my bill? People are calling with all kinds of complex questions. And like, you cannot turn off my electricity because I have a pacemaker and I have a medical cert on file. So what do I enroll in the LEAP program? What is the budget billing? What is the minimum amount that I need to pay because of that? Because I just got laid off. And how can you defer the first payment to the most amount of time? That's real. Rachel, that's real, Rachel. And that's what
Right.
people are calling about, not calling about the hamburger menu that you commonly see in different examples. I want to see my kilowatt usage. Can I pay a bill? That doesn't capture. That captures about 17% of the volume. 83% of the people that call in are calling about real complicated, real problems, real exceptions. And you need superior active reasoning brain to be able to get the first time right and to be able to provide them a service that can actually break the myth that digital agents will always be really NPS will degrade when a digital agent is servicing you. And NPS is obviously integrated, is reflective of customer satisfaction scores.
Right. Well, I want to break that down for our listeners because I was fortunate enough to attend the event and get a firsthand look at these demos of how Quant works. And so this isn't just like your average call to a utility company, as you mentioned, and you ask a question and you know you're talking to an AI agent. You know you're talking to a bot because of the voice. But what's really cool about Quant that really struck me was that the voice shows empathy and there's emotion in the voice. You wouldn't even know that you were talking to an AI agent because of
Yeah,
the emotion. I mean, it could sound like me. It could sound
yeah,
exactly like me. And it could, if you say, oh, please don't turn off my utilities because I lost my job, it will be sympathetic. The voice will say, I am so sorry versus
uh,
I am sorry. Right. So it's like, this is real deep use cases of AI that impressed me. The AI can switch languages immediately. You can speak English, then you can go into Spanish and it will talk. You can interrupt the AI and it will let you interrupt it and then switch into that topic that you just wanted to talk about. I mean, it's incredible. And I want our listeners to know how incredible that is. I wish we had a demo because it really is cool.
yeah. Well, I can show you a demo if you want right now. I mean, I think if, for instance, we just if I don't know if it'll be visible or if it'll be audio will go through, but all the things that you said, by the way, Rachel, you articulated it perhaps better than I could. Yes, it's the lines between, as a Turing purist, the lines between what's human and what's silicon based is going to get progressively diffused. And uh, Quant is emblematic of that shift, that you are going to get human level, if not superior than human levels of service. And humans have an opportunity to move on up the chain. This is a very important program. I mean, I think Quant really always believes that this displacement that happens with technology, technology has always been the big job creator. And for us to do our part agentically, we don't just need to be able to provide technology that can take care of the mundane chores that humans should not be doing anyway, not replacing credit cards, not just taking orders, not just doing common start-stop services. They should not be doing these basic things. They should move on to higher forms of creative expression. And to do that, we have not only the technologies that can take care of this level of base chores, but also we have technology that we have unveiled that actually does agentic career mobility counseling. So it allows the people that are getting displaced to talk to an agentic counselor that can actually guide them gainfully for both employment within the company and outside of the company. We are very impressed with how many CEOs have subscribed to it, and their level of social consciousness and their care for their staff has really surprised me. It's not just about shareholders' earnings, and so I don't really care about my staff. There has been a genuine concern about how do I allow my staff to move on up this chain of value creation, and how do I use agentic technologies that we have shared with them that allow the career counseling, not just about here's a career fitment, but actually allow them to say, I've looked at your CV, I've looked at your aptitude, I've looked at your attitude, and I've looked at your career aspirations, and I actually see that these are the openings that we have within the company which could better fit. And these are the ways that you could better move on up. And these are some external opportunities also if you're getting displaced. But anyway, I'm sorry for just concurring with you. You hit a very sensitive nerve when you talked about the fact that it has to be empathetic. It has to be human level. Turing saw this coming in 1949, and that when you experience Quant, you could actually gauge for yourself if one company is sincerely starting to knock on that elusive, thus far, 7 decades of Turing horizon. Here, I'll just play this for you, for instance, here.
Perfect. Yes. I
Let
hope
me
our listeners
see.
can hear it.
Let me see if you can hear that.
Hello, I am Hayden from Pizza Pizza. How can I help you with your order?
Hi, Hayden. I'm looking for just ordering a combo with you, and I would like to be able to get a plain pizza with pepperoni and sausage, please, and a large pie with regular crust, please. And I'd like to be able to pick it up from one of your stores.
Hey there. Absolutely. I'd love to help you build that combo with a large pepperoni and sausage pizza for pickup. That sounds delicious. First, I'll need to get your phone number for the order, and then your address so I can find the nearest store.
Hey, I'm not sure if I need to give you my phone number. Why do I need to give you my phone number? Can I just give you the address where I'd like to be able to come pick up?
I totally understand your concern. We need the phone number for a couple of reasons. It helps us confirm your order and reach you if there are any questions while we're making your pizza.
Okay, fine, Hayden. Why don't we just go ahead with my phone number, which is 917-209-6666, and I'd like to pick it up at 127 Main Street in Toronto, Canada.
Perfect. Got your number as 917-209-6666, and I see you want to pick up at 127 Main Street in Toronto. Let me locate the nearest store for you. Now let's get that combo built. You mentioned a large pizza with regular crust, pepperoni, and sausage. That's a great choice. For our combo, we'll need to pick exactly 3 toppings total, and you've already got 2 picked out. Let me confirm your pizza base.
All right, so what about something healthy that you will suggest? Because that's enough meat for me.
Great thinking. For a healthy third topping, I definitely recommend some fresh veggies. We've got some really popular options that go perfectly with pepperoni and sausage. Most people love adding fresh mushrooms. They're only 5 calories, add a nice earthy flavor. Green peppers are another favorite.
Yeah, peppers it is.
Peppers
Does it for me. I like it spicy.
Perfect. Green peppers it is. You'll add a nice fresh crunch to balance out that pepperoni and sausage. So let me confirm your pizza base so far.
So since you said, obviously I didn't plan it, but since you said that it is kind of human and wish you could hear it, this is real, Rachel. I can call a utility, I can call a pizza, I can call the largest cancer care center in the country, I can call an airlines, and I will get a human equivalent. And I thought that since you very aptly suggested that your listeners could actually experience how technology is starting to become very human, you could see for yourself that Hayden is starting to approach that empathetic and that capability to quickly resolve. Look, this is a quick service restaurant. It doesn't have time for saying press 1, press 2, press 3. You could see that I'm shifting things around. I'm barging in. I'm cutting the person off. I'm saying just get that in. And it is able to obviously accommodate that.
Yeah, it's incredible. And I mean, not only that, but there are other use cases like the airline, I think in Saudi Arabia. I mean, like there are so many interesting use cases for Quant. And I'm glad you did the demo. But my next question is, with all of this happening, will this eventually replace humans entirely, or will humans stay in the loop, or how will that work?
Yeah, so I'm a big subscriber to the fact that that humans are going to be the human. Look, I ask you the question: what happened to the horse and carriage driver? Isn't it? Does history repeat itself? Is it inevitable that technology has been the biggest creator of jobs? Hasn't the person who was driving horse and carriage, today he's driving cars and driving Uber and flying planes, and tomorrow he'll be taking rockets to Mars? And that's just inevitable. That technology has always pushed man further and further and has been a net new creator of jobs. That's going to happen with this one as well. The humans will, I believe that human neocortex is the ultimate Darwinian engine. When it is forced to, it continues to evolve. It continues to actually engage in reasoning to be able to push itself up the value chain. And but it doesn't undermine your concern about the fact that there is a digital tsunami that is coming. You can't be sitting on the beaches if you have a just a canonical kind of job and thinking that it's sunny on the beaches of Phuket when a 100-foot wall of water is rushing towards you. You must move to a higher ground. And Quant can help there as well. With a digital career counselor, we can actually help you move your career to the upper ground while you let the common chores be taken care of by technology, which is inevitable. It will happen. Now, where humans really excel at is you don't need to have humans devalued at replacing credit cards and checking out your balances and making sure that they can extend a credit limit, or looking at why one of the largest banks in Canada's transaction has been declined, or what is a hold period for a check. You asked for use cases. I mean, I think these are not the things that justify where a human neocortex outshines any machine today. In problem solving, human neocortex is very much, and so for us to make sure that we have that path for humans to move up the value chain for this largest bank in one of the largest banks in Canada to be able to provide better services, better level of engagement for its customers, for instance. So we should actually move those careers of humans up. That's one area where humans will continue to go more towards the creative and more towards up on the right side of the brain to be able to come up with reasoning, as opposed to just the left part of the brain, which will be just a common logical processing of things. And the other part, which is very key that you alluded to, which was human in the loop, and that's very, very key. So as these systems start to go better and better, remember, there's always, if you're pushing the boundary, and anybody who says 100% is just restricting the domain to be simple as password reset, and then you could prove anything by funny math. You can say, look, for password resets, we are doing 95%. That's not real. Real is, of the total volume of calls coming in, what percentage of the calls, with all different kinds of calls, Pareto of Six Sigma included, that came in, what were you able to resolve? And that's where humans push the boundary up to about 84. The rest is obviously escalation to a supervisor. And then you obviously have machines, some superior active reasoning engines like Quant that are pushing that boundary up to closer to 77% today on an average. But even that 77%, a very key part that you said is human in the loop. What happens to the calls that are not fielded? Those calls have to end up at a human agent to be able to make sure that the customer does get service. While the human agent is responding, it is imperative that the technology listen in and the agentic technology build its mind map dynamically to be able to say, sorry, Joe, I had to trouble you this time, but the next time I will have contained this. Reinforcement learning with human feedback is very, very key. And that's where human in the loop is very key. We have a Center for Advanced Agentic Learning in London that allows us to be able to have such escalations being fielded by agentic experts that act as professors, that automatically whose mind maps start to get transcribed so that we can continually push up that boundary of what is contained. And the first call resolution percentages, we can continually push up that boundary of customer experience. And human in the loop is very critical there.
So is it fair to say that as of now, currently, humans that work in the customer service field may not or should not be worried that they're going to be replaced by AI, or should they be worried? Will it eventually happen?
50 to 70% of that will be fielded by a digital agent by 2030. That's a given. McKinsey came up with that. It is going to happen. You should absolutely be thinking about engaging with a digital agentic mobility counselor, career counselor, to start to move on up, reskill yourself. If you don't have reskilled, the agentic counselor can help you reskill yourself, can help you train yourself, can help you move on up. And by the way, as I said, I'm very surprised by the level of, look, all CEOs have to care about their staff. And that's a given. And I knew that even going into it. But I think that I'm very surprised with the actual active engagement on part of the CEOs to be able to push their the deployment of this agentic career counselors in their units, even proactively before these massive displacements happen, so that they can actually provide a path for their staff to move on up the value chain.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. My next question is, right now we're talking about customer service, right?
Yeah.
Will we ever get to a point where you go into a pizza restaurant and there are just, and I mean, I guess we see it in San Francisco, probably in New York, in some places, there are no humans at all. And you're just ordering and they're, robots, or I don't know. I mean, like what can we envision when we actually go into somewhere where we want customer service in person? Are we going to see people? Are we going to see machines? Are we going to see AI? What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, so what is the difference? I ask you, Rachel. I mean, you heard, was Hayden human, or was he silicon based? Or was he carbon based? And did Turing say that, like, there would come a time when it would be indistinguishable what is human and what is machine based? Huh? And is that time not approaching now? I ask you, will you be able to tell when you call in about, look, the time that people insisted on saying you want to announce, I'm a digital agent, I'm not a digital agent. Nobody cares about it. You just want you want to find your lost bag. You want to order your pizza and you want to order it quickly. You want to make sure that you get your utility turned on again. You want to make sure that your you're going on a vacation, you want to make sure that your utility bills get lowered and gets done really quickly. No one is really particularly interested. Mostly every customer that we have said is interested in getting the job done in the fastest possible time. That's it. That's the simple efficacy. So does it matter? And are the lines between what's human and what is digital not being diffused? Have you not seen that there are movie characters coming up that are in digital form? There are obviously there are service agents that are in digital form. There are break-fix specialists that are in digital form. There are non-clinical care for patients of cancer care that are in digital form. So as long as they do the job and do it well, isn't that what the customer really is interested in? Is that my job gets my patient care? I've just had this lung biopsy, and I need to be able to make sure that my non-clinical care is the best. My wellness program is the best. My follow-up is the best. My medication is the best. My refills are already at my doorstep. My pre-authorization has been done proactively. My claims processing, I didn't have to deal with the insurance company because it was just taken care of. Isn't that what a patient who has just gone through lung biopsy at a leading cancer care center in the world is really interested in? It's just somebody that can actually get the job done. And that's what is going to be the dominant factor, where you find a progressive diffusion between carbon and silicon life forms, as there's going to be a homogenization in a hybrid workforce that is rapidly taking shape as we speak.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
You are the new media. Influencer, creator, brand. You aren't just posting, you're creating the future. Own is the app designed for you, and you'll earn what you deserve. 50% more than other social apps. Weekly ranks, featured posts, tipping, and you don't even need followers to go viral. Download Own and share your affiliate link. You'll earn 3 Own tokens for everyone you get to sign up. Own, because you're the next generation of media. So all of that is very interesting, but I want to get your thoughts on the downfalls of this. For instance, what happens if an AI makes a critical mistake, or it makes a mistake, or you even order a pizza and it doesn't have the correct toppings on it? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, humans, what percentage of the aircraft fatalities have been caused by humans versus by machines?
I don't know the answer to that.
97% of all aircraft fatalities have been caused by human errors. So humans make mistakes. I think machines will make much lesser mistakes. We can asymptotically start to go towards Six Sigma and beyond, which is 3.4 DPMOs, which is 3.4 drops in a million operations. We can really start to move towards that in a mathematical way. So they will make less mistakes. That's your toppings will be your toppings, and they will arrive. It's not going to be surprise there on the toppings. But I think the main concern, the main thing that I worry about is that the pace of change here with this agentic revolution is so fast. The first industrial revolution was a multiplier of brawn, and so you still have one horse, one cart. Now one steam engine, 100 carts. It was a 100-fold multiplier. But it was still limited by the production capabilities and the time it took to manufacture that steam engine. In this case, one person, one call agent, one digital agent, infinity set of calls. And not having the limitation of like saying it takes me 6 to 9 months to build the steam engine. It is the rollout is becoming itself agentically accelerated. So we have an agentic factory that you can actually just roll out these agents very quickly. So that worries me that we are going to we're not going to give man enough chance to actually the speed of displacement is very fast, and we need to be able to proactively start to think about how do we encourage man to already start to move away from these low-level chores that they do to higher value creative expressions, kind of jobs that are of much more value. Otherwise we run the risk, as I told you, my son had turned to me once when we were walking down to pick the newspaper and asked me, "Dad, are you going to be a robo-dad?" That's a very uncomfortable thought for somebody who has spent now going on 3 decades of his life researching these neural networks and trying to see if we can make the enterprise world spin more efficiently. You don't want to end up with that distinction, ignominious or lack thereof. You want it to be for efficiency purposes. You want it to be a better service place. You want it to be that the airline passengers get to know that, sorry, Rachel, your flight got canceled because of weather conditions, that nor'easter had just come. And so here are the other options that you have for your flights. And since one of them is in the morning, there is a hotel that we have made reservation for you right here. And there is a car waiting for you outside. That you want better service for the airlines will serve people better. Banks will be able to say, Rachel, you're too busy shaping world opinion. Your month end is coming, and you don't have time to balance everything out. I can see that the amount of bills that you have got outgoing, you might want to move a certain amount from your checking account into your, certain from your money market into your checking account to make sure that you have overdraft protection. So that's a personal banker. That's not somebody that you're chatbotting with. That's where it's an always-on digital operating system which Quant is creating, which can just be with you as a personal banker, as a personal airlines assistant, as a personal hotel concierge, as a personal non-clinical care for cancer care patient, as a personal assistant for your needs to be able to order quickly a pizza, for a personal care for you to be able to get your insurance notification of loss done, and always on agent, which is based on digital operating system principles and can act proactively, not reactively, that you pull down a chatbot and you say something. It should act proactively if it is always on banker in your pocket. No?
So basically, what I take from what you just said is these use cases are for efficiency, for customer service. But when you mentioned RoboDad, for instance, was that to give an example of like what agentic AI should not be seen as? I mean, should it not be seen as like a fatherly figure or a motherly figure or a romantic partner? Because now we're seeing AI and these kids that are, I don't know, in their teenage years or whatever, they're engaging with AI for romantic relationships, which I think is crazy. But is that what you're saying, that it should be for efficiency versus like human connection?
Well, if you talk to my wife, she could definitely say that I could be improved by a digital version of me. So, but I try to convince her that human fallacies allow for a more serendipitous relationship. But that's getting too personal in the answer to your question. But I think that you ask a very good question about the fact that no, my main concern about RoboDad is the Stephen Hawking, the 5 to 10% chance that this is the final invention, that we end up with machines that are superior, which will happen in intellect on average basis. And at that point, that they are able to say, we don't need these people of lesser intellect. If humans are indicative of that, then we treat people of inferior intellect not quite well. At best we cage them, or we line them up and smash their heads and serve them on a plate like with some steak sauce. So there is some, I would say, mathematically 5 to 10% chance that these machines, which will become sentient, will start to, if we do not start to have them really think about how to act subservient. We have to inculcate a programmatic sense of what is right and what is wrong in these machines. We have to ethically teach them that you exist to serve the carbon to humanity, humans, that you must be subservient to humans. And by the way, these are the ethics codes of policies of what's right and what's wrong. And they are programmatically enforced, just like you have PCI compliance. There should be an AI compliance, not just some static body of knowledge published by some European Union entity, but I think it should be a dynamically enforceable certification that any system that claims to be in widespread use of AI should be subject to. And that will make sure that these entities continue to be governed by humans. Humans must be in the driver's seat of this revolution. Humans cannot be in the reactively caught off guard, and we are not thinking as much about these silicon forms. We should think about them as our partners and equivalent to human terms. We should think about the fact that we tell our children at a very young age what's right and what's wrong. We should be similarly teaching these systems what's right and what's wrong. And we should be programmatically enforcing these ethics into these systems. And we should be programmatically enforcing that they exist to serve humanity in these systems, particularly as they start to become more and more sentient.
Definitely. Well, Chetan, I know that we are running low on time. So I want, you are one of the greatest minds, in my opinion, in the AI sector, and you know so much. If our listeners wanted advice on, a book to read or something that you would suggest to help them better understand agentic AI, what would you suggest? And I do want a book suggestion as well. Like, what is one of your favorite books?
Yeah. So, I think this is a good, I could make you cancel your dinner plans by extolling all the books that I'm an avid reader, because it's just fun for me. But I would say that the biggest thing I could suggest is that go dive in. Don't be afraid. Don't resist it. Embrace it. It's going to happen. These agentic systems are going to be here. So dive in. If you haven't dived into just even dive in on the deep end of the generative pool. Dive in on perplexities and GPTs and any flavor of the generative technology that you need. Dive in on the side where you can start to have your own systems created, as most of these technologies are allowing you to be able to start to create these systems. So your best learning experience, I think, if you are an empirical learner, comes from just diving into these systems and saying, I want to build my own star network of all telephony and video equipment to be connected. And how do I go about doing that? Can you start to give me agentic agents to be able to start doing that? Or I want to start opening up my own broadcast studio that can be an adjunct to Rachel Wolfson's studio. How do I go about doing that? Dive into it, and that will really help you get the first quick exposure. Other things I would suggest is like listen to certain founders forums and some podcasts, because they're very quick studies. Because I think if you take a long time, this revolution might come quicker than you might think. I would say that listen to some of these podcasts, such as yours, that are very, very key. And very quickly you can start to assimilate. At the risk of repeating, I think human brain is the ultimate Darwinian engine. It has the capability of assimilating information very rapidly. And it should not be just limited by the I/O processing capabilities of our eyes or typing capabilities of our fingers. It should be limited by just hearing capabilities and just rapidly intaking this information and building on top of it. I've obviously, I also would suggest that, like, if you want to, everybody has heard Elon Musk's, Isaacson's, I would say that you should read some of the different innovative books about some of the people that have shaped tomorrow. And that includes from Buffett on one side to the most radical on the other side. And I would say that that would be a good way for you to see how these avant-garde thinkers have actually shaped tomorrow and how you will become such an avant-garde thinker that can be able to shape you, not only your own tomorrow, but that of the ecosystem around you.
Right, definitely. Also, if our listeners want to be involved with Quant or find out more about what you guys are doing and how you'll continue to innovate in the field of enterprise customer service, how can they do that? Would you direct them to the website or social media, or do you have weekly lectures somewhere?
Yeah. So, I couldn't flatter ourselves by saying that we have a very strong program in marketing. I don't think we do. So I apologize in advance for that. But we do deliver world leading human equivalent and in some cases human superior technology as borne by the efficacy of resolution and by NPS characteristics. So if you are interested in learning about such solutions and just exploring such solutions, then I would say that you can contact on our website itself. There is a way for you to be able to contact us. And we are very eager to learn from you also, by the way. It's the largest consumer products for fabric care in the world. The CEO is on tomorrow with me to discuss exactly this. We have the CEO of one of the largest banks consumer banking division with us in person tomorrow. So these people are very interested in saying, let me really get into this understanding and putting my hands around this so that I can look. You have an amazing, amazing technology that Turing had seen 7 decades ago. It will come. And that time, when you experience Quant, you can be the better judge for yourself if that time one company has sincerely started to knock on that elusive Turing horizon.
Wonderful. Well, this has been such a pleasure speaking with you. I think it would be great to do a follow-up, to have you on the podcast, definitely a few more times so we can dig deeper because there's really so much to dissect here, but we're low on time. I would also love to get your thoughts next time. It doesn't have to be this time on blockchain and AI. If you have any thoughts, because as you know, Web3 Deep Dive is typically focused on blockchain and cryptocurrency, but today we only focused on AI, which is, in my opinion, a Web3 technology. And I think it's great that we just focused on AI today.
Yeah. And blockchain, crypto, all these will run on an orchestration fabric that will be autonomous. They will run on an automation fabric. The autonomous fabric will be done by agentic technology. So all these technologies also will get a big boost up, a shot in the arm with the. But obviously, I'm an avid follower for all blockchain disruptions, from mask shipping to all different kinds of applications. I've seen how much it has changed, and also the ability for. But there are certain issues there also that your viewers should really know about. How fraud detection is very, very complicated, becomes very interestingly complicated with the development of blockchain technologies, and how you can actually detect where someone originated some kind of an issue on the other side. It becomes very hard to be able to detect that. And there needs to be cyber technologies itself are playing a constant police and a cop and robber game on that side of that equation as well. So it's very interesting duopoly that I see emerging in that side of the house.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And yes, would love to have you back on the show. I hope our listeners enjoyed this, and I hope they, check out Quant and continue to follow you because you're great. And I'm very excited for the progress here. So Chetan, thank you.
Rachel, thank you very much for having me. It's been a privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Special thanks to 4Labs Digital for producing Web3 Deep Dive podcast. I'd also like to thank the sponsors behind Web3 Deep Dive. You can click the links in the show notes to learn more about each of the Web3 initiatives from these sponsors. Finally, thanks to the listeners for tuning in. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and share.